I think there's like a lot of rhetoric about this idea that, if you pursue your passion, that's the most important thing. Like, pursue your passion and you'll be successful, you'll be happy, you'll be fulfilled. And I think that there's a step between those two things. Like passion, the word passion, I think actually comes from the word Latin, which means to suffer. And which I think is, I don't know where I'm trying to go with that, but just to say that I think if you follow your passion without taking some really thoughtful steps in the process, there's going to be a lot of suffering. And I think that before you pursue your passion, what you've got to do is you've got to figure out what all the fundamentals of a business are going to be, right? You've got to figure out how to sell. You got to figure out how to market. You got to figure out how to build a business plan. You got to figure out how to get capital. You got to figure out how to do, this litany of things before you get to go and do the thing that, you love the most, that you're most passionate about. And I think that a lot of people, fail to remember all the other things that it takes to be successful as an entrepreneur. Like, it's a misnomer that you get to go have fun every single day, do the things you love. In fact, the most success happens when you're willing to embrace and do the unspectacular things that other people aren't willing to do, right? So that means like that you got to go and figure out how to build your first website. You got to go and figure out how to create some marketing campaigns on MailChimp or on some other platform. You got to figure out how to navigate through, Calendly and setup and all this other kind of like administrative nightmare just to get to a place where maybe you can start pursuing your passion. And I think that a lot of people fail to realize that selling is probably the skill set that you need more than anything else, because you can be great at something, but you're not a business until you actually have a transaction, until you get somebody to look at your value proposition and say yes. And I think a lot of business owners, a lot of entrepreneurs, and a lot of people out there have this misgivings about what being an entrepreneur is going to be, is going to be or allow them to do. Like, they're somehow going to be able to sit in an ivory tower and have all the other junk, taken off their desk by somebody else. It is a long time before you can start to do those things. In fact, I'll tell you that I think the most, important thing that an entrepreneur can do is focus on sales. And that might seem counterintuitive if they're an engineer or if they're an artist or they're a creative, but ultimately no one can sell your product better than you. You may not look at yourself as a salesperson, but you can explain your product, you can explain your story, you can talk about it, you can understand it, and you're going to be able to effectively, sell your business to that consumer better than anybody else. And there's a long time before you get to transition out of that, right? And what it means is that first you're driving enough activity so that you can have the opportunity, so that you can make the money, so that you can then hire somebody. And then if you hire a salesperson and just beg and pray and hope it happens, you're rolling the dice. What you got to do is you got to stay involved until you find that person who is the epitome of what you want representing your business. And when you transfer all those skill sets, and when you get that person finally to a place where they're adequate in the job and that they can do almost as good a job as you can do selling your business, then maybe you can step away and focus on something else. But until that person becomes that VP of sales because they've learned intimately exactly what you need to do, biz dev is the epicenter of business. And that's not what a lot of people want to do. And if you're not passionate about selling, right, but you want to run a business, you want to own a business, you want to be an entrepreneur, man, you gotta bite the bullet and learn the selling part. And I think that if you just focus on being, your passion, you're gonna suffer. You're gonna suffer your way right back into a job working for somebody else. You're gonna suffer, through a mediocre income level, right? Entrepreneurism is the hardest $50,000 a year to make. Like, if you're gonna be an entrepreneur, you shouldn't do it, to just create a job for yourself and all the headaches. And so don't just pursue your passion. Take the steps necessary so that you can pursue your passion, but do so in a business that's going to deliver you the financial reward and the professional satisfaction, all the other things you want to do.